Hey y'all, welcome back to Agape Gardens STL. I'm Carolyn, and this is kind of a new set of videos for me. I haven't participated in a challenge before, and so I am going to give it a shot with the Every Bit Counts challenge from Rachel at Three Rivers Homestead to preserve something every day the month of August. I have several preservation projects that are scheduled to happen in the near future. Today is August 1st, and so it is the beginning of the challenge, and today I'm going to just do a simple preservation project in preserving some of my herbs. One of my goals this year is to preserve more of my homegrown herbs. I haven't in the past few years had enough herbs to get through the winter. So specifically, I haven't had enough thyme, which I use a lot, oregano, or rosemary. So what I'm going to do today is start preserving those herbs. I have dried herbs in my dehydrator and in my hanging drying basket, and both are very effective. I just have a tendency to deal with it more readily when I dry it in my dehydrator because I need to make more space, and which prompts me to load the dehydrator again. So today we're going to go in the front yard garden and harvest some herbs and put them on the dehydrator, and that will be our preservation for today. This challenge is all about preserving something every day, whether it's a big project or a small project, so that you can enjoy the fruits of that labor in the winter time. And I like to make our own taco seasoning and our own spice blends, and so having those dried herbs is very important. So let's go harvest some herbs. Okay, so today is August 2nd, and today I am preserving pepperoncini peppers. I think I have probably 6 plants. They were really just thriving as seedlings. All of them survived. They've all grown. They're loaded with peppers. I got the seeds from MIGardener. And so I had my husband go ahead and harvest these the other day, and today we are going to pickle them. I'm really excited to have these pickled peppers because I have pickled banana peppers in the past thinking that they taste similarly to the pickled pepperoncini peppers, but I no longer think that that is the case because I've eaten these raw. These are definitely spicier than banana peppers and definitely have a different flavor. So I'm excited to get these in. I'm going to be using my ball canning book for the recipe. So the ball canning book doesn't have a recipe specific for pepperoncini peppers, but they do have pickled hot peppers recipe. That's the recipe I'm going to be following. So first things first, I have my canner full of water with my 9 pint jars in there heating up. The first thing I do is wash my jars, my lids, my rings, get them in there heating up so that they can sterilize while I'm preparing my vegetables. I have a pot here that I'm going to be preparing the brine in. But first I need to chop up my peppers so that I know how many peppers I have. This recipe calls for banana peppers, jalapenos, and serranos, but 11 cups total. So I need to find out how many cups of peppers I have before I make my brine. So another tip I have is I like to put on gloves when I chop hot peppers because the oils can get into your skin. You end up touching your eye and you end up in a lot of pain. So I've never used these compostable disposable gloves. They're supposed to be eco-friendly, made from cornstarch. So we'll see if these work. Hopefully my hands don't burn after doing this. Okay, so I've got them all chopped and we have 15 cups of chopped pepperoncinis. Our recipe calls for 11, so that's 3 more cups. I'm gonna go ahead and do 1.5 of the brine recipe, and I'll just save any extra brine for my next pickling project. So the recipe calls for 6 cups of white distilled vinegar, so I'm gonna put in 9 cups. Then it calls for 2 cups of water, so I'm going to put in 3 cups of water. And then it calls for 3 crushed cloves of garlic. My garlic cloves are kind of small, so I'm going to put in kind of a bunch. All right, so now we just bring it to a boil, and we boil for 5 minutes so that garlic can infuse the brine. And then we will pack our jars and get them in the canner. Okay, so our brine has simmered for 5 minutes, infusing that garlic flavor. I am going to use my measuring scoop or measuring glass to pour the brine into the jars because I think that makes it easier. And then we are going to debubble with our debubbler and leave a generous 1/2 inch, that's this little notch, of headspace in each jar. We're gonna put them in the canner for 10 minutes, process them, turn them off, take off the lid, let them sit for 5 minutes, and then we will take our jars out. We're gonna pack the jars as full as we can within reason, because they will kind of soften or shrink up as they process. Okay, so there we have it. 8 pints pickled pepperoncinis. I cannot wait to enjoy these. Usually if you pickle something, you want to make sure you leave it for at least 2 weeks to make sure that the flavor infuses. And when you take your jars out of your canner, make sure you leave them for 24 hours before you try and take any rings off. Don't force down any seals. And after those 24 hours, you can go ahead and clean up your jars and put them in storage. Thanks for joining me for today's preservation